Welcome to Trail Recon, I'm Brad, and today guys, we are going to be taking a look at one very cool custom built Jeep that I think you guys are really going to love. We're going to get up and close here with this Slantback 6 Commando. We are in the Romer garage with Tony and Troy. Guys, thank you so much for inviting me here today. Man, what a cool place this is. There's a lot of great work that gets done in this place. Building cool stuff like this has got to be a blast. Tell me a little bit about Romer.
Yeah, so Romer's been around for just over 2 years, and it kind of birthed out of an idea of two dads with kids, not wanting Jeep to rule our lives and to be the end-all be-all every weekend, everything we did, because we have other interests and things we're passionate about, and found out that a lot of people, thousands and thousands actually, agree with us. Yeah. And so out of the olden days of daddy daycares, of working from home and watching the kids every once in a while, just being in their lives and seeing them grow up, we wanted to build something that we could first and foremost have our kids be a part of too. So in a lot of our content and things that we do, we have our kids with us, either behind the scenes or in the shot sometimes. It's just awesome for us to raise our kids to be self-sustainable and adventurous. And so the beauty of outdoors, and really it's the age-old question of how do you roam? How do you like to roam? And everybody gets to define that themselves. Whether it's with vintage custom builds or brand new Jeep or at the beach with a surfboard, you get to define that. And so we wanted to pull a platform together that we kind of have our focuses, but the idea is let's answer that question. And so Romer kind of birthed out of that, and we've really started to niche our way into our directions, focus, but that's really what it's all about, is how do we get our kids out there, how do we really enjoy adventure and do it together as a community. Awesome.
Tell me the backstory behind this beautiful Jeep that we're going to get into the details, but how did this kind of evolve? How did we get here?
Well, this, as we call it, Slantback 6, everything's in the name on this. So this was birthed, the brainchild out of wanting to do a CJ6. Okay. So after investigating that a little further, finding out that though we love CJ6s, I would love to do a CJ6, but it was really about the space. Again, to echo what Troy was saying, was having enough room for the family, and a vintage CJ5 probably wasn't going to do it with me having 2 kids, Troy having 3, and I have an 80-pound dog, which is in essence bigger than both of my kids, having the space to do all that. Yeah. So after referencing my couple of Jeep encyclopedia buddies, the Commando was a good platform to start with. It's virtually about the same amount of length, box frame, better bones. So being that we wanted to start with a 6, and the nature of the slanted back of the Commando, Slantback 6 was born.
Awesome. Well, I've just been drooling over this ever since I walked in the shop. You guys have built some great stuff. In fact, guys, you may have seen the Tomahawk. These guys are the ones that built the Tomahawk when I did the Overland Expo rig walk around. I'll leave a link in the description. Go check that out, because that's a cool build, and maybe we need to do another video on that one here soon. But today, let's get up and close with this one. What do you guys say?
Sounds good. Great.
Let's do it.
Dive in.
All right, tell us about the foundation of this lovely vehicle. How did it start out?
Well, we started out with a 1973 Bullnose Commando, and considering we really wanted to do a CJ6, we really wanted to stay true to the CJ6 front end. I love the Bullnose, definitely stoked to do one of these days, but for this, since it was birthed out of the idea of doing a 6, we definitely wanted to do the CJ front clip on this.
Okay, so this is not how it came. It looked a little different than this.
It looked a lot of different.
Right. So a lot of work then to probably get it to look like this?
Not a terrible amount. Okay. So on the Jeepster Commando, it's pretty much a bolt-on swap. On the Jeep Commando, which was a 72 to 73 being the last year, it's a little bit more work just as far as mounting points, but it's pretty close to fitting and being a bolt-on.
Yeah. I love the classic look of this. It's just awesome. Now, what color is this? And this is obviously not pink.
This is a rhino lining, and this is a kind of a softer textured version of the rhino lining. So a typical rhino lining, you don't want to throw a bare leg over the rail of the rhino lining, you'll lose some skin. This one's a lot softer, still has a great looking texture, but it's very nice to the touch, has really good touchability on this, so we're really stoked with this color. This color, we spent a lot of time figuring out the color. We knew we wanted to be in the flat dark earth realm, but we weren't exactly sure on the hue. So we actually spent a lot of time in firearm shops looking at mags,
Yeah.
looking at accessories, trying to come up. And we looked at some traditional flat dark earths, and then we ended up settling on a magazine that just had a really, really great hue to it. And we were sold right away once we found that. It just took really getting up from our desks and literally going outside and into some shops and taking a look at some
So
things.
it's Second Amendment inspired color. I love it. That's awesome.
Yep, yep, for sure.
Very cool. All right, man, there's so much to talk about. Can you just take us through the mods and the custom work that's been done on the front here?
Sure. I would say starting with the shining symbols of light in the front with JW Speaker, not only the front whole row above using lights, but their headlights. We've actually partnered with JW Speaker for probably a good 6 or 8 years now. We really think they have a great product, and so not only are they great to work with, but it's something to use almost every time you drive it,
Sure.
especially at night. So we went with their classic JW Speaker headlights, and their smoked out even JK turn signal lights.
So you've got LED lights all around, which has probably made a huge difference.
Absolutely, yeah.
But this winch up here is, I love the classic look of this. Tell me about the winch.
Yeah, it's special. Warren came out in 2018 with their reproduction 8274. It's one of their all-time classic winches, and they did some upgrades to it. And not only in the styling, but it went from an 8,000 to a 10,000 pound capacity
Okay.
with the synthetic line on it. Everything we've been taught about, wear gloves, be careful, you can pinch your fingers. This is the reason why all of those warnings came out. It is dangerously stupid fast. I mean, you really have to be careful of how fast it is, and
Yeah.
it really is a joy to use. And one of those things where it's so fast and so capable that where you would say, oh, it's going to take forever to wind back in. You just pull it out, and
Yeah.
you're going to be back on the trail like that. So
Yeah.
it's a really special winch.
I love the classic look of it. I think it totally fits with everything. But, and then you got some Factory 55 gear down here?
Yeah, so we really feel like they're the gold standard in pulling safely.
Yeah.
And so we've been partnered with them for several years. We just really believe in their product, and it looks great, it has a great style. And actually one of the things, with taking on mounting this winch, instead of being bolted from the bottom, it's actually bolted from the front.
Okay.
And so that brought in another challenge of how do we secure it to really be able to pull a full 10,000 pound load and even double up sometimes. And so we actually started with a BFH Poison Spider CJ bumper and actually welded it right to the frame, so it's never going anywhere. Reinforced the frame underneath, and then actually had Castle Fab fabricate this extension piece that is not only the winch mount, but also reinforce the stinger. So this whole front end is super durable and useful, and actually can do its duty in all around.
There's, before we started filming, there's just so much fabrication on here, and it's just all so beautifully done. All the welds, all the bends, it's a great build, guys. Can we pop the hood and take a look and see what's underneath?
Absolutely.
Sure,
Let's do it.
Let's give it a good.
Okay, tell us what we got under the hood.
Well, before we get to the hood, we should definitely mention that we have this beautiful Onyx Auto grill and the hood that we used as replacement parts. So they're repops
Okay.
that we use. They're very easy, quick bolt on. As far as the engine is concerned, the previous owner did put a 4.3 out of a 1990 S15 Jimmy in, and though this originally came with a V8, and we all have aspirations to put a V8 in
Right.
the vehicle, it works, it runs, it's going to be plenty of power for us on the trail, and there's 1 billion to 1.5 billion parts for it. So we figured we just leave it as is.
Yeah, that sounds pretty functional. That's awesome. You got a lot else going on under here. You got looks like a dual battery setup.
Yeah, so we partnered with Genesis Off-Road with their dual battery setup. Really wanted to have a lot of power on the trail and not have to worry about getting stuck.
Yeah.
And we've used them for a really long time, really believe in the product. We also have a custom under the hood cage, so that again, it's all about purpose. And so if we flop this thing, or worse yet, roll it, we're going to be protected, and all the things underneath. We have a hydro boost, so it stops on the dime. We have a dual Switch Pros switch system and PSC for the steering. Everything had to be custom mounted, especially the whole pulley system in the front of the motor really had to be customized for AC power steering, and all the other goodies that we stuffed underneath this thing.
Nice. Well, it looks great. Can we talk about tires and suspension? Because I really want to get into that.
Absolutely.
Let's do it. This thing has an awesome stance, and there is a lot of meat on here. Let's talk tires, suspension.
Yeah, absolutely. So we paired Trail Ready B-Locks and Nitto mud grapplers. They actually do a really great job, not only on the trail, but on the road. Kind of really good mix in between, and really happy with this combination. Not only does it look good, it really functions really well.
Yeah, and these are what size?
40-inch tires.
40s.
So we tried to talk this guy into 42s, but he's like, no, let's stop at the 40s.
We've already gotten talked into 40s because initially, like I said, the build got away from us, as I mentioned a few times. So yeah.
Okay. But you got to have a lot of structure to support these big wheel tires. What's underneath?
Well, what's not underneath is leaf springs anymore.
Yeah.
So that was one of the things, this being about the third or fourth truly custom suspension, you really have the geometry and kind of the ride mixed with functionality dialed in. So we actually opted not to go coilover. That's one of our biggest questions. And really stayed with that coil spring and Falcon shock, which is a game changer.
Yeah.
Really, really good on the road, really good performs off-road, and with the variable settings on there, we can really dial it in how we want it and still have sturdy on-road regular trail riding. And we coupled that with the TerraFlex Alpine suspension. It's actually a suspension that is meant for a JK, and we adapted all the parts along with axles. They're Terra 60 full float axles for a JK, and basically made it all fit and work together. Long arm. So moving from the outer axles going in, we use pretty exclusively Tom Woods drive chassis. They're just tough as nails, and customer service matches none. And going in right into the Atlas transfer case twin stick, you can't really beat that.
Yeah.
So that really helps us from inside the cam all the way out to the tires. It's just gonna have that smooth flow of power and not break.
Okay, so with all those components, how's she ride down the road?
She rides great. One hand on the wheel. I've had it up to 80 and just does great on the freeway. I mean, here in California, we high-speed freeways, so no, not a problem.
That's hauling with some 40s. That's
Yeah,
nice.
not bad. But that we always aim to have that balance of on-road and off-road performance, really mashing together.
Cool. You guys have some really cool fenders and armor that have a lot of little custom touches. Can we talk about that stuff?
Yeah, well, anyone who's followed our build see that we like to use metal cloak.
Yeah.
And there's a reason for that. We've been very happy with the performance out of them. We've actually had a Jeep flopped on its side, and it's actually kept the rig off the ground.
Wow.
So that was kind of a selling feature, if not the fit and finish on them as well.
Yeah.
So it's very strong. This one's tied into the cage under the hood. Obviously, you can stand on it, but you can definitely lay the thing over on its side. It's
Sure.
not going to be a problem like that. Great guys to work with. They always stand behind their product, so we're all in with them.
And they've got these little LEDs in the front. That's custom, right?
Yeah, definitely a little tweak. We have to muck with everything.
Yeah.
So what we did is a little tip of the cap to the new JL. We took Metal Cloak's JL LEDs and we modified the front and then inserted those into the rear, so it kind of had that modern driving light look.
Yeah.
It came out really, really nice. A nice little feature that you wouldn't know that we changed it until you're like, wait a minute, something's
Yeah.
wrong here.
I was that guy. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, that's different. That's kind of
Yeah.
cool. There's a lot of that on this entire build, which is really cool. What about boat sliders? What do you got?
For the boat sliders, we used 1/4-inch aluminum through and through on both sides, keep the weight down, but also keep good protection. Also custom made by Castle Fabrication. I know a lot of guys are going to know where to get them. Unfortunately, they're the only ones in existence.
Yeah. Well, they look great. I mean, I was looking underneath, and the way that the control arms come out underneath there, it just all looks really clean. It's awesome.
Really, really trick, real clean, and yeah, classic boat slider, as the name
Yeah.
suggests.
Is there any other armor underneath?
Well, we've done a really good job of keeping everything tucked up really high.
Yeah.
The only piece left that we're going to have fabricated is to protect the Atlas transfer case. That's yet to be fabricated up and designed, so we'll get to that soon.
Cool. Well, speaking of fabrication, there's still a lot more fabrication in the rear I want to take a look at. Let's do it. Well, I got to say, the rear of this Jeep is almost as attractive as the front of it. This is a lot of cool stuff back here. Just take us through it.
There's a lot to look at. I know the Commando guys are going to be really excited and probably have a ton of questions about the rear corner armor.
Uh-huh.
That was also another item that was fabricated by Castle Fab
Okay.
with a lot of our input as to how we wanted to look. A lot of guys kind of stopped the armor to shorten the back because the back has a lot of compound angles and things going on. So he took multiple pieces of aluminum and handcrafted those pieces to fit, and they came out really, really good. We're stoked on it.
Yeah, it's super clean, and even just the way the lines fit perfectly, it's just a lot of craftsmanship there.
Yeah,
right, for sure.
Very tight tolerances,
Yeah.
which we found out once we got into the rhino lining part.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't know what we didn't know, but some fitting, you know, it took some massaging after the fact, but yeah, it fits like a glove.
Yeah.
Really great detail.
Yeah. What tail lights you got back there?
The tail lights on the back are adapted from a JK armor kit from Metal Cloak as well.
Okay.
And they fit really good, and we actually inset those and French those in just a little bit to meet the, because the contours on the back of the lights are made for a JK, so we French them in, they look great, and they solve kind of the problem of the fitment issue and adapt it to this vehicle.
Yeah, super clean, awesome. Talk to me about the bumper and everything else back here.
Yeah, so it goes without saying, this Stinger from Poison Spider is part of the star of the show in the backyard. Not only is it functional, only the tire, but we wanted to make it part of a little bit the armor again if things went really south. So we really integrated into the bumper and to the body and the armor pieces for it to be super stout.
Yeah.
We paired it with Poison Spider's Brawler bumper,
Okay.
and we adapted to fit. Castle Fab did his magic, making it look like it was made for this truck, which it kind of was, starting with that base of the Poison Spider components. And of course we wanted to have a rear winch for just, you know, any and all situations we could be useful in helping, you know, hopefully other people up
Right.
the trails that we just went up.
Not
Right?
yourself, right?
And you know, and the Stinger really was great for us to be able to get our rear JW speaker lights for just the backing up and duty lights, as well as even the perfect spot for our Outer Limit Supply trail ready first aid kit,
Yep.
which is really important to us to have all of that equipment with us. And we have such, you know, small amount of space inside the cab.
Right.
It was just great to be able to have it at the ready.
Nice. It looks amazing back here.
Yeah.
Now, you were telling me a little bit about the tire and fitting it with the tailgate. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so in I believe it was 1972, Jeep went to the bullnose, and they also, I think, raised them a little bit. And I do know that they put a little bit bigger size tire on there, and they went to fit it, and it was like, oops, it doesn't fit in the back. It hits the back seat to the tailgate. So they actually put this bulge on the back.
Okay.
And we actually decided, because of this rear winch with fitment issues, well, let's just reverse that. So we actually have the bolts going in, so when the tailgate goes down, it actually clearances the rear winch perfectly. So we wanted to keep that essence of the vintage there, but make it work and adapt.
It's a lot of work, but it looks great.
Yeah. It was
The
one of my
easier
favorite
way,
things.
the easier way would have been to do some flat sheet metal across
Right.
that, but it would have taken away from, you know,
Sure.
the essence, as Troy mentioned,
Yeah.
of what this vehicle is.
Yeah, I love that. That's awesome. Talk to me about the exhaust. What are you running back there?
So we were running a custom dual exhaust,
Okay.
and we ran into the issue of us always running into issues and having to overcome these obstacles. And that's really the essence of all this vintage stuff.
Uh-huh.
And this was definitely one of the hardest issues we ran into, is coming right off the headers and not having any room in the middle because these frames are so narrow, but also not wanting to cross over into a single exhaust either, because everything, like you said, is so tucked so neatly up in there.
Right.
So under the boat sliders and in between the body and the boat sliders, there's these cavities that, you know, we had, you know, lots of ideas of what we're going to put in there. Well, what we had, it ended up working out perfectly to put dual exhaust right in through the boat sliders into those cavities, out the ends, and we just, you know, wrapped them accordingly so that, you know, keep the heat down a little bit, and it just sounds mean, and you can't even see the exhaust. So
Yeah,
it's turned out good.
it looks so clean. I love the wrap. That's just that old school look. It's totally cool,
Right.
right? Okay, so look, you got to talk to me about the best looking gas filler cap and the whole gas tank system that I've ever seen on a Jeep.
Well, thank you. Yeah, so we were inspired by one of Mopar's latest creations, and we just had to have something kind of in your face, out in the open, and
Yeah.
really a feature piece. And so we went with, you know, the huge old school cap, as well as right next to it we are going to add the air filler, and that goes down into 31.5 gallon tank. So it's
Wow,
kind of like an
yes.
iceberg. It's about a third up above the back inside the cab here, and the rest is below. We didn't want it down too far, but we also really wanted that extended adventure crawler, 2-3 day excursion,
Sure.
fuel capacity.
Yeah, you definitely put some miles on in this thing with that size of tank. That's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very cool. Well, look, the custom touches don't stop on the outside. They're also on the inside. Can we hop inside and take a look?
Sure.
All right, there's a lot of cool stuff in here. Can we start with the roll cage? This is all custom, right?
It is. So the whole roll cage was designed by us and fabricated by Castle Fabrication, and the premise of it was really to keep the stock hardtop. So this is actually the stock hardtop that we cut down to fit to make into kind of a safari top, and that was really an important item on the list to keep. Just that classic brow look, but also having the protection of a full roll cage.
And on top of the roof, we have provisions for a Pioneer platform from Rhino Rack that we worked with for a very long time. Being that this vehicle is made as an adventure crawler, we need provisions for rooftop tent and any additional accessories, whether it be recovery or other, on top. So the roof is completely tied into the roll cage, as Troy mentioned earlier, to be able to support all that. Rhino Rack has been very good partners of ours. They actually sent a crew out to 3D scan the roof, because they're working on a prototype backbone system for flat roofs for your van life guys and girls out there and things. So this was kind of their first kind of jump into that. So they really wanted to get a scan of it and see how that kind of worked out really well. So it looks great, and we're really stoked with that too.
Yeah, I've got the Rhino Rack platform, and I know that the important piece is how it's supported in it. So having it supported on your roll cage, I mean, I'll bet you can throw a ton of weight up there. Rooftop tent for sure, right?
For sure. We've already been up there while we're doing the wiring and jumped up and down. It's not going anywhere.
Cool.
Completely structural, yeah.
We also actually redesigned the entire dash. So I know some of those haters will be like, oh, I can't believe you just didn't, why didn't you keep it original? Well, it was a soft landing for us because the guy that we bought this from had already hacked up the dash, so we weren't really like we were actually making it better and not really like taking an old dash and ruining it. And so when we came to kind of the interior layout, you know, the prerequisites were we wanted to have a digital dash, so we used Dakota Digital on that. We wanted to have an iPad Pro, kind of like that Tesla look, and something that we hadn't really seen before. Wanted you know, air conditioning, so we went with Vintage Air, of course comms with rugged radio for everybody to have their comms. And then when it came to lighting, we actually strategically placed 2 different Switch Pros, and then of course tunes. We had to have JL Audio, which we put those into the dash and into the side panels and into the very back. So everything's really integrated and really highly thought out.
Nice. How do you like the seats?
Seats are great, super comfortable. We actually went with the heated option.
Okay.
Because a lot of times we just prefer to have our butts warm.
Sure.
And
because why not?
Right, because we could. So the seats by PRP, they did a really good job. We had a couple, we worked closely with them. They're fairly local to us, so we were able to go back and forth on design and things like that. Really stoked with the pattern and how they came out on those. Also, another favorite of mine is the Snowmaster fridge, which we managed to fit into the console.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit of a husky guy, and I like my sandwiches, so whenever I need my cold cuts, I have them on the road. They're only an arm's reach away.
Yeah. And not only do you have a fridge there, but I see both of your arms are resting on it, so it's also serves
Very
as
functional.
an armrest.
Very functional.
Yeah.
We needed an armrest, and the big question for us was whether it was going to fit, because this isn't a very wide vehicle.
Yeah.
But it was made for it.
Yeah.
It was made for it. So it's a really good addition, and I'm glad it worked out. And it's like it was made to go there.
Yeah.
Love it.
Cool. I love the custom touches with the steering wheel and the shift knobs. Tell me about those.
Yeah, so that was kind of inspired by just having that old school with the new school colliding, so to speak.
Yeah.
So that old wood, kind of mid-tone wood steering wheel we really wanted with, of course, our custom logo on it, and adapting that to fit. And one of our really good buddies out in Texas, Black Label Studios, actually hand-turned these knobs. And so I kind of told him what the idea was. I gave him a lot of creative freedom, and he actually posted a photo of the raw burl wood. I'm like, I hope those are for ours. He's like, you'll see. And sure enough, it's just they turned out insane, and I couldn't be happier with them.
Awesome. Well, they look great. I just love those kind of touches. Cool. Well, anything else in here that we're missing?
Yeah, so one thing, that if you look into some of these old vintage vehicles, I had never seen one, I'm sure they're out there, but you don't ever see more than 2 seatbelts in the back seat.
Yeah.
And that's something that was really important to us and me particularly, because I have 3 boys, and so I needed 5 seatbelts. And so with the width of the axles, we actually took out the wheel wells almost all the way so that we could put the custom PRP bench seat in the back and have 3 full seatbelts with 4-point harnesses.
Man, I don't know, but if I was a little kid sitting in the back of here going off-roading this thing, that would be
Stoked.
like grinning ear to ear the whole time, right?
My 2-year-old loves it the most so far. At least he's been the most vocal. He just can't wait to go in Daddy's new Jeep again.
I think I would be smiling right now to go for a ride in this thing. Cool.
For sure. Yeah, so we kind of try to keep in mind functionality and details and some of the cool factors as well. We did the Carolina Metal Masters grab handles,
Okay.
which adapted really well. We could actually mount the mirrors in these, so the mirrors will unscrew from the doors and then screw right into the handles as well. So when we do remove the doors, we'll still have our visibility, as well as the RAM mount. We have a RAM mount kind of set up all around the vehicle, both in the front and the rear for the passengers, for phones, for power, for accessories, for cameras, the whole 9 yards.
Awesome. Well, it's a great cockpit. You guys have done an awesome job.
Thank you.
So I know there are a ton of things on here that I have fallen in love with, but I'd like to hear from you guys. What are some of the things that you love about this vehicle?
Man, that's a crazy question. I don't even know where to begin. But I think one thing I fought for as far as design component was the eyebrow on the roof, keeping the original roof. We could have easily had a custom roof cover made. But for me, it was important because from the front end, we changed so much, but from the bullnose, it has a CJ front. So from the very front of the vehicle, you think it's a CJ, except for the roof where you have the large brow on it. So it was really important for me to keep that, and I think that's really a great look, and it's probably one of my favorites.
Okay. What about you?
On the visual side of things, I think just a lot of there's so, like you said, there's so many details. The water jet emblems, the knobs on the shifters, with the matching steering wheel, I think are just visually like some of my favorite little details. And then I think overall my favorite thing is how functional yet simple it is. Everything underneath, everything has a purpose. There's some really good technology, but I feel like it wasn't overdone.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to dive into that.
Cool. Well, I know when you're doing custom work like this, just doing any kind of modifications to a vehicle, you run into some challenges. Can you share with us any of those that happen along the way?
Yeah, I would say the biggest challenge for the project was the intensity of it as a whole, and keeping on task and keeping it moving forward and having that goal being SEMA. There was just a lot to do, and so all the custom fabrication that went into this one, and really the geometry and everything, not only does it look pretty, but it has to function, and clearance right was the biggest roadblock.
What about you? For you?
For me, I want to say, to echo kind of what Troy just said, for me it's the project planning. Like, it seems great and easy, and yes, there's lots of hard work to do, but organizing that, making sure that any of the partners you're working with, whether it's in hard parts or fabrication, is keeping on task, keeping on schedule, and trying to stick to that schedule, because, SEMA creeps up on everyone, and it happens. And being an outsider looking in, you're like, why don't these guys just start a little earlier? But it always ends up that way. No matter how hard you try, things slip away from you. Before you know it, you're in a bottleneck. So I think the project planning is a huge component, probably more than I ever thought, and probably more than most people would consider.
Cool. What's left to do on this rig?
A fun little feature we're going to do is the rear tire swing down is actually going to be a 40-inch round table. So I have a leg, so it'll dual purpose. When you swing it down, you can actually put a table on there and actually use it as part of the adventure part of the adventure crawler.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. I like that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And then you're just going to get out and use it, right? I mean, that's the ultimate goal, right?
Yeah, and after that, let's just get in the rocks and let's get it dirty and scratch it up a little bit.
Awesome. Well, guys, thank you so much for
Great
taking the
having
time for
Absolutely.
letting us come in the shop, take a great look at your rig, showing the viewers. I know these guys are going to appreciate this video. Guys, I hope you have enjoyed checking out Romer's build. They have a lot of cool builds going on. They're all parked outside in the driveway. They let me take a look at them. Maybe we'll show some of those on the channel here soon. But look, if you have a question about this build, put it down in the comments. And if they want to check you guys out, where can they go? What's the best place to get a hold of you guys?
I Am Romer on Instagram is the main place, or iamromer.com, and that's no E in Romer. It's not Romar, it's Romer.
All right, awesome. I'll link down below, guys. Go check them out. They're doing some great work. And look, if you're visiting Trail Recon for the first time, hit that subscribe button. I'd love to have you as a member of the Trail Recon team. Thanks for watching.